severe consequences if Russian President Vladimir Putin blocks peace in Ukraine, while also saying that a meeting between the pair could swiftly be followed by a second that included the leader of Ukraine. President Trump did not specify what the consequences could be, but he has warned of economic sanctions if a meeting between himself and President Putin in Alaska on August 15 proved fruitless. According to reports, the comments by President Trump and the outcome of virtual conference with President Trump and European leaders and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky held yesterday could provide encouragement for Kyiv after alleged fears that the Alaska summit could end up selling out Ukraine by carving up its territory. However, Russia is reportedly likely to resist Ukraine and Europe's demands strongly, and previously said its stance had not changed since it was set out by Putin in June 2024. Meanwhile, French President Emmanuel Macron has said that Trump agreed that Ukraine must be involved in any discussions about ceding land, while Zelensky said President Trump had supported the idea of security guarantees in a post-war settlement. Let's listen into what the U.S. President had to say.
Any consequences if Vladimir Putin does not agree to stop the war after your meeting on Friday?
Yes, they will. Yeah.
What will the consequences
there will be
be?
consequences.
Sanctions, tariffs?
There will be, I don't have to say, there will be very severe consequences. Yeah. We're going to meet with, I would say, the second meeting. If the first one goes okay, we'll have a quick second one. I would like to do it almost immediately, and we'll have a quick second meeting between President Putin and President Zelensky and myself, if they'd like to have me there. And that would be a meeting where maybe it could be absolutely work. But the first meeting will not work that out. Certain great things can be gained in the first. It's going to be a very important meeting. But it's setting the table for the second meeting. I think the second meeting, if the second meeting takes place. Now, there may be no second meeting, because if I feel that it's not appropriate to have it because I didn't get the answers that we have to have, then we're not going to have it. We had a very good call. He was on the call. President Zelensky was on the call. I would rate it a 10, very, very friendly. I know the leaders because I was at NATO, as you know. I took it from 2% to 5%, 2% that wasn't paid, 5% that is paid, which is trillions of dollars in defense capability. No, it was always going to be, I was going to meet with President Putin, and then after that, I'm going to call the leaders and President Zelensky. I'm going to call President Zelensky, and then I'll call, probably in that order, the leaders. There's a very good chance that we're going to have a second meeting, which will be more productive than the first, because the first is I'm going to find out where we are.
Now for this discussion, we are joined by Rohan Gunaratna. He's an international affairs expert, joins us live from Singapore. Thank you, Professor Gunaratna, for joining us today. Good to see you. Now, what do you think Thank you. Now, what do you think, what did the Trump mean by severe consequences, although he did not clarify?
This is Trump's style of negotiation. Trump always threatens not only his opponents, but even his friends, because he has an aim. He wants to restore peace between Russia and Ukraine. And even before he became president, he said that within 24 hours, I'm going to resolve this dispute. And he also said that when the Ukraine war started, he said that this war would not have happened if he was American president. So Trump is determined to bring about negotiated settlement between Russia and Ukraine. And he has, in fact, issued a very clear warning, not only to Putin, but also to the European leaders, that he wants peace, and he wants peace at any cost, meaning there will be very hard negotiations, especially when it comes to land, between Russia and Ukraine. So he has primed Putin as to what his intentions are, which is to stop the fighting. And I believe that he will succeed.
And Professor Gunarat, now, do you think how do you think Russia would respond to these kind of threats? How do you think Putin is seeing these kind of threats?
Putin is a very seasoned leader. In fact, he was head of the Security and Intelligence Service of Russia, and he knows how to deal with leaders. So Putin will be very silent. He will listen more than he will talk. He'll be very opposite the way Trump negotiates. But of course, he will make very calculated decisions. So I personally believe that there is a very high chance that this war can be resolved because these two leaders are meeting. And Trump already has a plan. Trump's envoy, Witkoff, already met Putin a few days ago, and he is also very confident that there will be a resolution. Putin was very positive about this meeting. So I think that President Trump's comments should not be taken out of context. His threats should not be exaggerated, but certainly this is his way of negotiating, his way of mediation.
And Professor, now looking back at yesterday's discussion on web discussion of all these leaders, including President Zelensky, and now given that Ukraine is now part of the upcoming discussion regarding its own territorial disputes, what do you think it achieved yesterday's talks?
The second meeting will be with Zelensky, but the first meeting will be between Trump and Putin in Alaska, in Anchorage. And I believe that the first meeting should be between these two leaders. And it is important for a meeting between these two leaders so that they can discuss issues and challenges. As you know, the Russian intervention in Ukraine was largely because of the NATO buildup, and Russia perceived it as a direct security threat to its stability and security. So such matters will be discussed between Trump and Putin. That is why it is so important that before Zelensky is brought in, that Trump and Putin meet so that Putin can explain the thinking, the security thinking, the strategic thought on the part of the Russians. And Trump will understand it because he would have been adequately briefed by his advisors and his staff.
Thank you very much, Professor Rohan Gunarat.